Welcome to the second lesson of what's new in Swift 4. In this lesson, you will learn how to type less. Well, I don't think we need to talk much. Let's get started. Welcome to Learn Swift Bob. Today in this lesson we talk about keypath. So here's the problem statement. I am tired of chaining. So what is chaining in the first place? We talked about in chapter 1, lesson 2. Optional chaining was that you get the properties and method associated with an object, but optional chaining means there's an option along the way. But when you just simply say chaining, that means you're simply getting the properties associated with it by going through those dot, right? But here's a problem statement. I'm tired of chaining. Well, Swift 4 allows you to take a look at what are some better ways to go about, if there's any, and whether you should decide whether you should use this feature or not, because Swift 4 has been around only 2 months. Right now is August. Around 2016, Swift 4 has been around. So for me, I've been just working on making courses, learning about Swift and web development. So I haven't really applied Keypath in real life situation. But next quarter, you might see whether I'm really applying this or not. You'll see my justification down the road. Well, first of all, let's look into your past, how you've done in the past to appreciate Keypath in the first place. So what we're gonna do is design a model. This model is called developer. Developer has two properties. One is platform as the information, and we have to define this type, what those types are. And we have types here. One is platform, iOS. One is Android, and we have information. Property, name, strength, motivation, string. Developer they choose a platform. They also have information about the developer. So you're gonna fill this up with the object that we're gonna create down the road. So let's create an object first of all. So let's start with the information you're gonna fill up later down the road. So information about user Bob, Rob. One of the strengths is called Zenness, which is one of the most important skills that you want to have when it comes to coding. And the motivation is to change the world, which is like what Steve Jobs wanted to say and wanted to achieve, which we eventually did. I read the entire biography about Steve Jobs back in when I was 19 years old. It's an amazing book. You should guys definitely check out what he wanted to do in his life. Anyway, we have Bob information. We have information Bob dryness. This is one of the most important skill too when it comes to coding, getting dry. Motivation none. Bob is just one of those examples. It's not me here. Obviously, I have motivation, but there's some Bobs. Just people use Bob for every single example out there. So we have an object for Rob information, Bob information. Now it's time to create the real developer object, right? So here we go. I'm talking super fast because I want to. This is the boring part, so I'll just get it done right away. Developer. You choose a platform, Android or iOS. I'm choosing Android, as well as information about Rob information. And Bob developer, iOS, Bob information, all good. You get the point. So let's look into your past. That's how you've done in the past to get things done across. So you've done is Rob information, the name. And then Bob information, the name to get the name properties. Okay, all good. That's all good. However, if you take a look at this problem here. What if you have a lot more than Rob, Bob, or Zen, or Canny, or Lee, or Park, or Sue, or if you have more than a lot of people, what you're doing is you're kind of repeating yourself. You see, there's information, the name. That's what's happening here. Of course, you can use a for and lib, but the problem with using for and lib is it does it does let computer do a lot of work. However, when you use for and lib, there's something like this. What's happening is it's kind of decreases readability, in my opinion. You have for, and sometimes if you have like 3 or 4 object, it's better to simply use this method than, in my opinion, if I had to access property of for object, I would use this method over using for and lib, because what's happening is you have to read the entire thing here for just decrease readability. And of course, if it gets more and more, I use for and lib. But for now, if it's considerably small number of object, I'm gonna simply use like this method. But here's the problem statement. Here you're repeating yourself, and sometimes you might have a lot of more, just like name, language, letters, it might get a little more complex. So you're just repeating yourself. So how can we go about this? Well, this is the lesson that designed for those who might wonder, is there any better way to go about this? Well, there's a way. Swift 4 allows you to attack this problem very, very well. We call this Swift Keypath. So what's happening is you want to access a property or method through defining the path, the design. So right now you're literally just getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're just literally getting 1 step, 2 step, but you can actually define the path of that getting 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just apply to an object. You get boom right there. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We call it, let's see how you get the platform of Bob. Right now the Bob's platform is iOS. Well, we can call it Bob. All right, we have an object. This is an object, and then it provides like a subscript like method available right next to you, and then you call it slash, right? This is slash developer.platform. Well, this is possible because Bob is an object of developer struct, right? And developer struct contains 2 properties. One is platform as well as information. So that you have platform, and then Bob, and you get the iOS on the right side. Okay, so when you just Bob Keypath, just this is an API this is designed by the Apple engineer. We just kind of follow the rule. Okay, so if you want to get Bob name, Bob Keypath developer, you gotta use this slash mark right here. That's a rule that the Swift developer have decided to implement. We just follow. We're the user of this language, right? We don't question that much. We just use them. We question time to time, but for like something like this, yeah, just use it. Information.name. But here's the thing, what is the difference between this method and above here? It seems like this is more complex. If you want a Rob method, then do you have to use Rob Keypath developer? No, you don't have to. That's not the entire point of this lesson. The most important part is that you can actually store the path. If you take a look at this keypad, you can store into a variable constant, just apply to every single object that is made out of a developer object. So this is what I would do. Call it information key path, like a path to this information from developer, and then you store it with this way, this slash mark right there. Is it called slash mark? Let's call it slanted line by 60 degree. Okay, this slanted line by 60 degree. Okay, so we have information access to this key path information. All you have to do is just apply to every single object that's made out of this developer struct. All right, keypath. Bob is made out of the developer information keypath, Rob information keypath, and here we go on the right side. We should have information object on the right side, and of course you can get something like this if you wanted to, but there's a better way to go about next time. I'm gonna show you down the road. Just wait for me. So that's it. You are storing a key path to that specific properties and properties and methods within that blueprint. Right, within that blueprint or struct blueprint. That's what information keypad allows you to do. This can be if you have like 5 or 6, and if you don't want to use for and lib, if you want to simply get the property out of it, yeah, you want to consider learning information keypad. Where a developer have been doing this way for a long time, it's all good, right? It's fine, but I'm not asking you, when I introduce some sort of topic, I'm not telling you to just apply. Application is not the most important part. Again, learning about the motivation behind and what are the pros and cons. We talked about pros and cons in this part as well. There's no reason to use a key path if you're simply getting 2-step process, Rob information.name. There's no reason for you to use keypath, but sometimes if you have a real longer name that is used everywhere within your entire project, yeah, feel free to use keypath. So it's your decision to take a look at. So that's why I focus on just teaching you getting the fundamentals. There are 3 ways to get a property. We talked about it. We can simply use this method. We can use for and lib. We can use keypad method. But it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about your decision to take a look at which one is the best way to go about. And again, in programming, there are more than one way to solve one single problem. And it's your job. As long as you get the fundamental for each process, each method, it's your job to choose what you want to do. And that's why when it comes to programming, I don't fear that much. I don't really fear when I'm asked to show my code to somebody else, because I know my project more than anyone else, and I know why I apply there. Yeah, if somebody comes up with a better solution, yeah, I'll take a look. I'll listen to them. But I'll try to explain where I'm coming from and see where he's coming or she or he's coming from, and try to see where we match and where we don't match. But but when it comes to programming, it's all about justification between each implementation. In order to justify something, you've got to know everything about the language and the fundamentals very, very well. It's not just writing copying code from many courses do, which is just copy paste from API to API. That's not the focus of this lesson, of course. Again, I'm emphasizing so many times. I know you guys are sick of this hearing from me, but this is just wanted to emphasize this so much. It's not about copying paste, not about building apps. It's about getting the fundamentals, so you know you're confident when you're asked to show your code to somebody else. Okay? I forgot to tell you one thing though. You can also append the key path. So right now, if you take a look at the key path here, we have a store information key path, right? But also you're able to append to this keypath.name here. This is rule. So what's happening here is simply adding this .name property keypath to this information keypath on the right side. So when you do Rob keypath, Bob keypath, here we go. You have Bob and Rob on the right side. Nice and easy. So now, for those who are savvy enough, we talked about the design guideline when it comes to naming, right? We talked about it in chapter 1, sets. If you take a look at the word appending, right? What makes you think? For those who are smart, or for those who still remember, the word appending, if it's something ending with adjective, something ending with ANG, noun verb form, that means you're not mutating the value. So if you take a look at this is let right now, but you are still able to do that. Well, you might be classes, or you might be classes. I don't exactly know whether this is a class object, whether it's a struct object. But what I can tell you is that you are not interfering with this information key path, right? If it's append, you're literally just changing the value of information key path. But if it's appending, you know that it's simply getting the value from key path, and then you're just creating your own copy and interacting with it instead of just mutating that value. Okay? So again, this is part of the design guideline. You got to know the fundamental. Most people out there learning about Swift, most people courses out there, they don't really focus the small details about things like this. And this is very important for communication and for us to understand. And for those who don't know about the small things, when you want to learn something else about new API that comes out from the Apple documentation, if you don't know about delegate pattern, if you don't know about data source pattern, what you're doing is simply copying and paste from one to the other, and you don't want any of those stuff, right? Those things do not make you become a better developer. Not only that, you cannot learn how to code at all because you're simply copying and paste, and also you cannot teach your developer, your teammates, which is the most important part. You want to be able to teach someone, which I'm doing right now, but you want to do that. It feels good. So keep learning, guys. It was a little rant here, but I'm not saying these words because I don't like you guys or I don't like the people out there. I just want more people to be more successful, and I just want more people to understand that it's not just about making apps. It's not just learning about the ARKit that came out from iOS 11. Not just about learning about all these new cool features that came out. If you have the fundamentals, if you have a good understanding of data source, delegate, object-oriented programming, functional programming, life becomes easier, and you can code anywhere else you go in the world. You could be a web developer, you could be an app developer, you could be a server developer, you could be a window developer. It doesn't matter, okay? Please, hope you guys take my words. Please mark my. I know I'm young, but the reason I was able to learn so much more. I've been coding in Swift only 1 year. In fact, just beyond 1 year. That was my first time coding in Swift, and that's literally my first language as well as my first time learning about Swift. I know you guys, not many of you guys know out there, but the reason I was to do that is because the reason I was to learn about web development just short time, learn about server development, because I just attacked the fundamentals, the heck out of it. All right, I didn't focus on building the product. I just understood and just studied the material out there. I don't want to just simply take courses to learn something. I just go to documentation, take a look at what they offer, and try to get the reason behind every single implementation out there. That's why I think I've become a better coder, and I feel confident when it comes to coding now. So I'm sorry about the rant, but see you guys in the next lesson. That's it. You've learned that Keypath allow you to access property and method without having to go through those ... Prevents you from having human error, because when you go through those ... you're more likely or may choose different an object or property along the way. It's a brand new feature that we didn't really need it before Swift 4, and we don't even need to use it in order to code. So it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. In the next lesson, you will learn how to make subscript generic. See you in the next lesson.